Hello, and welcome to Submittals in Unifier. In this video, we will go over how to create a submittal, how to revise a submittal, how to print a submittal. We'll cover the submittals log, and then running a Submittals Ball-In-Court Report. Let's get started. After you log into Unifier, you can find your project list in SPU contracts. Double-click on the project to open it. From here, let's go find submittals. This will be under the construction business process down below. If we expand this menu, we see we have submittals down below. Click in your submittals, and now we can see the submittals log. If this is your first time creating a submittal, there won't be any data published in here. As you start creating and sending your submittals, they will all publish in the submittals log. We'll cover that in a minute, but for now, let's begin by creating a submittal. Click the Create button, and you have two workflow options, General and Information Only. The Information Only is for submittals that have been reviewed and approved outside of Unifier. There's no review and approval workflow associated with this. It's just a straight distribution so the records can become a part of the project. A good example of that would be a traffic control plan. That document is reviewed and approved by SDOT. And then once you receive the approved traffic control plan from Seattle Department of Transportation, then you can create an information-only submittal and upload it using the information-only workflow here. Most of the other submittals you will be creating will be the Contractor Submittal General. So let's select this one. A new window will open up. We can see we have a submittal form ready to fill out and submit. To maximize the window, you can click this button in the top right-hand corner. There's two sections, left side and right side. To change the width of those, you can find the double arrow and drag. And then the white fields are the fields that you'll be entering on the submittal. The gray fields will be auto-generated by Unifier or created by somebody else. Your submittal is going to be located in the attachment itself. An important document that you'll need in order to start creating your submittals is the Unifier Naming Convention sheet. You can find that on your Welcome to Unifier email. There was a link to the SharePoint site where you can download documents and guidebooks for your use in Unifier. Here is the Submittals Naming Convention sheet. This is a two-page document. Depending on the type of specifications that you have, the first page refers to APWA, and then the second page refers to CSI. You only need to use one, depending on what type of contract that you have. It just basically refers to the specification section numbering. They'll be a little different for each one. So in this sheet here, the way this works is you have a document type that you're going to be submitting on, and then according to that, there is a specific contractor file naming convention. We always start with the specification reference, so this is the specification section that is referred to for the submittal that you're sending in for review. We're going to turn in our first submittal as a catalog cut. So from here, you would pull the specification section for that specific catalog cut, and it would be an underscore, CC, underscore, and then the description of the material that you're submitting on. Going back to the submittal form here, this is where you would enter that naming convention in this first box, description. You can clear the text that defaults in here, Contractor Submittal General, and then begin typing your submittal description. Okay, so we have our specification section here, underscore CC, underscore power and control conductors. So I'm going to highlight this and copy this description because we'll need that a little bit later when we upload our attachment. Moving on to the next section, there is an option for you to place a contractor reference number. So if you have your own submittal numbering system, you can choose to enter that here. Unifier will automatically generate a record number for each record that you submit in sequential order. So if you don't wish to use your own numbering system, feel free to leave that blank. Next, we have document type. There's a drop-down list where you can select the document type that you're submitting on. These are preloaded. You can either select from the list by clicking on it, or if you start typing, it will recognize the text. We'll click Catalog Cut. And then the last field that we have is comments. So if you have any specific comments that you would like to point out for the transmittal to SPU, feel free to enter that here. But most people in general attach all of the information that's necessary for the submittal review in the attachment of the record itself. So just a quick review, we've got our description following the naming convention. We've decided not to enter a reference number because Unifier will automatically generate that. We've selected our document type for catalog cut, and then we've left this section blank. Next thing we need to do is upload our file. To do that, you can click on the Attachment tab, select the paperclip symbol, and then choose Browse. You can choose the Browse button and you can locate it on your computer that way, but if you already have it open somewhere else in an Explorer window, you can drag and drop that file into Unifier. Make sure that your file is named following that naming convention before you upload it, because once you upload the file, you cannot rename it. Here is this catalog cut for the power and control conductors that we're submitting on. And I had copied that description earlier, so after I highlight the name, I'm just going to paste that description in here. And then from here, I'll drag and drop it into the upload window. And then choose Upload. Now you can see we have an attachment here. If you would like to see the full name, when you hover over this title, you should see a double arrow up here. And then you can double click to expand to the full width of the file name. And there you go. So let's just double check one more time. Our file name is spec section CC power and control conductors. And this matches exactly with our description of the submittal. This looks good. If you would like to add a bid item associated with this specific submittal, you can click the Add button to add a bid item. There should be a list loaded in here where you can select the bid items for the project. And then when you're done, you can click Save. Now that we have our submittal named correctly and we've uploaded our file, we're ready to send this forward to the team. So in the top right hand corner, click Send, and another window will appear. This is the Workflow Actions window. Because this is the first time that we're routing this submittal, you only have one option to choose from, and that's Route. It automatically knows who to send it to. You don't need to worry about anything else. So at the bottom right hand corner, click one more time, Send. It'll give you a little notification that your submittal has been created, and this is the automatically generated number it's assigned to it. And now if you'd like to view that submittal in Unifier, it will appear in the submittal list. So you can take a look at your submittal at any time to view the status through the review and approval process. The first time that you click on something in this window, it will show a little preview on the side. This is kind of nice because you can see a little bit of a preview of what's going on with this specific record. So it'll give you the record details, what we just entered there in the description, and our document type. And then if you would like to see where it's going and where it has been, we can take a look at the workflow progress. Here we can see this is what we just did. We've created this submittal. There's a date and time stamp on that. And then the next step is going to be blank because it hasn't been started yet. So you can see who this submittal went to for review. And then lastly, if you'd like to take a look at the attachments, you can click there. Now this is just a preview. If you wanted to take a look at the other information on the submittal, you can double click and open the record this way. As you can see, when we open the full record, we have a few more tabs over here to view, so this may be important. They don't display on the preview window, so if you're looking for additional information, double-clicking to open the file would help you. If you're not interested in that preview window, you can click these 3 vertical dots and it will hide it for you. Next up, we will go through how to revise a submittal. So if the submittal comes back with an approval designation of revise and resubmit, we can see we have a couple here in the submittals log already. This means we are asking you to take a look at your submittal and take a look at our review comments and make some revisions based off of those comments. We'll go ahead and walk through that process right now. You can always look at the submittals log for these submittal designations. However, it's probably going to be easier to look at your task list because this is going to tell you specifically which submittals tasks you're going to need to revise. To do that, we'll go up to our task list under collaboration and then tasks. So in this list, we have all of the tasks that have been assigned to this license. And you can see we have a couple different types. Not only do we get tasks for submittals, but we get them for other items as well. But in this case, we're just going to look at the submittals today. So we can sort by clicking on the header. And it groups those together. So from the preview window, I can see that it's the approval type of revise and resubmit. So this tells me that this submittal has been reviewed and they're asking for us to revise it. How do we know what we need to revise? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the attachment. In this window, if we expand the file name, we can see that this was the original submittal that we had sent in. And then this is the reviewer's comments on that original submittal. So they always are going to follow a file naming convention of RVW, which stands for review, and then they'll put their initials at the end. So they'll take your exact same file name and then mark up that document and put in their comments for review. So this is the file that we need to open and take a look at. From here, at this point, I would actually open the record up itself instead of looking at it in the preview window. So we'll double click to do that here. So now we can see the full record with all of the tabs available. From here, download these comments and see what they've asked us to do. After opening the file, we can see we have some revision comments here from the engineer of record. So they're asking us to attach a list of food for the donkey. So from here, what we can do is add our revision, or if you have a brand new file, you can feel free to use that one as well. We'll save our file, but we'll need to make sure that we're saving the file using the file naming convention. What we're doing is a resubmittal. So we're revising this on the same record, and we're just going to follow this naming convention. And pretty much it's the same thing that we originally submitted on, except for at the end, we're going to put an underscore revision 1 because this is the first time that we're sending this back for revision. So here we are, this is the original file name, and at the end we're going to put an underscore rev1. Now the next thing we need to do is make sure we get that file attached to this record. As you can see, everything is grayed out at this time. We're not able to modify anything. We can't even add any contractor comments. That's because we need to accept the task. So in the top right hand corner, after you open the full record, there will be an accept button that you can click. And this will lock it to our license and open it up for editing. So now you can see we have these white fields again. We don't need to make any changes to the left. All we're doing is uploading our revised file. So in here we'll click the paperclip button, browse, and then since I already have the file open in another window, I will just go ahead and drag and drop it. Click upload. Now we have our revision 1 file. So we'll click send at the top right hand corner. Now this is where you have a couple of options on your workflow actions. You have the option to withdraw the submittal. Sometimes that would be appropriate. For example, if you accidentally submitted the same submittal twice, you have the option to withdraw one of those. But in this case, what we're doing is sending a revision, so we'll select Send Revision. The system automatically knows who to send it to, so again we'll just click Send at the bottom. And then that submittal drops off of our task list. There's one more scenario I'd like to walk you through, and that is for administrative revisions. So sometimes if a submittal comes in for review, but it's missing a file attachment or the description isn't following the naming convention, the submittals lead will take a look at that and return the task to you for revision if necessary. At that point, it hasn't actually gone to a submittal reviewer for review. It's just an administrative check to make sure that everything is in order before it gets forwarded on to the reviewer in Unifier. So if that case does happen, probably you'll receive your submittal back pretty quickly with a response in the comment section to make any sort of revisions. And I'll walk you through an example of that right now. So we'll go back to our task list and then take a peek at submittal number 57. I can tell already that this one is going to require an administrative revision, because if we take a look at the document description, that's that basic text, the default text that comes in on the submittal when you create the record. So this is probably what they're asking us to revise, but right now we can't tell by just looking at it in the log. So we'll double click to open the file. So at first glance, if I look at my approval type, I see that there's nothing here. So this kind of raises an eyebrow about why did we get this submittal back? They didn't send us an approval type. How come we have a task here? I don't see any comments down here from CMD, and CMD stands for Construction Management Division. And I also don't see any additional files attached with reviewer comments. I just see my original file that I just sent. So the first thing that you would need to do is take a look at the general comments. And that's this section here on the right hand side. And we can see that there's a comment in here because this little symbol appears to the right of the word comments. They're asking us to follow the naming convention sheet and change the description field from Contractor Submittal General, that default text that comes in on that submittal, to the spec section with the disposal site list. So the first thing that I'm going to do now is accept this task. Now we have all of these fields opened up and we're able to change this description. So I'm going to go back and cheat a little bit. Because our file name was correct and the submittals lead was nice enough to put that naming convention in here, I'm just going to copy this and paste it right over that Contractor Submittal General. Everything else looks fine. They didn't have any other comments on the submittal, so we're ready to send it back through. We'll click Send at the top right hand corner and then choose Workflow Action, Send Revision, and then finally send it through. That one drops off of our task list and now it can go to the reviewer. Next, I'd like to show you how to print a submittal outside of Unifier. If we go back down to the submittals log, let's take a look at number 17. This is a plan that we sent in and it was approved. We can see in the log with no exceptions taken. If we look at the preview window here, there's that approval type, no exceptions taken. But we want to open this up and save it to our record so we can forward this on to our supplier or to our subcontractor or save it to our own files. So we'll double click this record And at the top right hand corner there'll be a little menu button with a drop down arrow. Click Print. And you could choose PDF if you'd like, but there's a custom print form on this and actually all of the business processes in Unifier. So we're going to print this custom form to PDF. Just click Print one more time at the bottom. And Unifier will download a custom print form. We can see we have the record number here, the date that it was created, the project here, the public works number, the contract number, our description of the submittal, the type of document, any comments that were listed on the record, and then the review evaluation. This is that no exceptions taken. So this tells us that this record for this specific submittal has no exceptions taken and it's approved. If we scroll down, we see all of the action that was taken. It looks like there was a couple of revisions processed on this one. It lists all of the files associated with this record. Now, if you wanted to download and print those files, you would have to do that separately. But this is a nice transmittal cover sheet that tells you the approval designation of what this submittal is. You can save that to your files and then share that however you like. Next, I'd like to show you how to navigate through the log and a few options for filtering and customizing it yourself. So at the top here we have a couple of buttons. If you're searching for a record, you can click the Find On page. This will open up a field for searching here. So this will filter automatically as you start typing. Another way to search and filter the log is by clicking this magnifying glass here. It'll open up this search window. I like to dock it to the side so I can see my full view of my log here. It puts it into one column. And then let's say we're looking for a specific document type. Well, we can select from the list here. Catalog cut. Okay, so how many catalog cuts do we have on this submittals log? Click Apply. Looks like we have 10 of them. It will count the total number of search results at the bottom. You could also go in and see what approval type or status. So if we wanted to see anything that was approved, we'll click Apply. And then looks like we have 3 approved catalog cuts. To clear that selection, you can select Clear here and Apply, or you can click Cancel Search at the bottom. And we're back to 58 records. So that's a useful way of filtering out records that you're looking for specifically. You also have the option to print this entire submittals log to an Excel file. So whatever fields are showing up in here, you can export all of that to Excel. If you have a filter applied and you click that print button, whatever you have filtered will export to Excel as well. One last thing, if you would like to modify this view, you can click this Edit View little pencil symbol here and remove some of the fields that you don't need to see all the time. Public Works number is always going to be the same because it's the same project, so I like to drop that one out, and I'll just apply and show you what that looks like. So now you can see that field has dropped from the list here. So any of the headers that you have the ability to remove them from the view. You can also save that view by clicking the Save As and following the instructions. If you have multiple views that you've created, you can select it from here. And you also have some preloaded views from the system if you would like to see only records created by you, and it keeps going. Now the last thing on our list is how to run a Submittals Ball-In-Court Report. So who's holding on to the tasks? Running a Submittals Ball-In-Court Report will tell you what outstanding submittals there are and who's holding off on completing the task. Select Reports, user defined, and then you should see a Submittals in Review, Submittals Ball-In-Court Report. Double click to open it, and in the query window, select what type of format you want it to display. You've got the option to view it on screen. If you like Excel, you can select that, or if you want to download a PDF, that's also a good option. The parameters are already set, so you don't need to worry about doing any of that. Scroll to the bottom and click Run Report. Here we can see the Submittals in Review report. We've got the PW number, project name, and then this would be the submittal number in the record number column, our description of the submittal, and then the date that the task was started, who the task was sent from, what it was sent for, and then sent to, so who received this task. Randy is the one who received this task. And then task action. Not started means that Randy has not clicked that accept task button to lock the task to his license and start working on it. If we look at the line below, we see that Carter is in progress on this task. So that means that he's clicked that button to lock the task to his license, and he's working on it in Unifier. Now sometimes you might see a record number repeated on multiple lines, and what this means is that this submittal number here, number 154, was sent for review to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reviewers. So there's 6 individuals who could be responsible for reviewing this task. Once one of those reviewers actually accepts the task and locks it to their license, the other 5 individuals will drop off of this list, and then the person who accepted it, the task action will change to in progress. That's how you can run a nice quick report to see all of the outstanding submittal items and then who's responsible for the next action.